In cities across America, a grassroots organization called Protest Easy Guns has been staging demonstrations to raise awareness about the lack of effective gun control laws in this country. The group was started by a woman named Abby Spangler in response to the killings at Virginia Tech. She was outraged that someone could murder 32 people with a gun that took less than 3 minutes to purchase. Within a week of the shootings, she had organized 32 people to stage a lion protest in front of the courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. They dressed in black and wore ribbons in the Virginia Tech colors. Abby had them lie down on the sidewalk for 3 minutes to represent the victims and the short time it took to buy the gun that killed them. The protest, known as the Alexandria 32, was soon followed by others in Washington, D.C., New York, Detroit, Chicago, Houston, and other cities. The number 32 has an additional significance. Each day in America, an average of 32 people are murdered with guns. 5 of them are children. On August 28th, the group held protests in 8 different cities in conjunction with their allies, the Brady Campaign, the Million Mom March, and the Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition. Independent Voices filmed the Raleigh-32 protest held in front of a church near North Carolina State University. The protest was organized by Rachel Smith, a minister and founder of the interfaith group God Not Guns, which encourages religious groups to take a stand on gun control. Rachel believes that the first step is for ordinary people to begin discussing the gun control issue outside of the political arena.
I think the dialogue has to start with people like us. Many of us are mothers or grandmothers, fathers, grandfathers. One of our number had a son who was killed by a gun 5 years ago. And those of us who know her have seen how long it takes to recover from that kind of experience, if you do ever recover. So I think the conversation has to begin around people's kitchen tables. And once people like us begin to have that conversation and begin to have our consciousness raised about the level of gun violence and the cost of that, then we can bring to bear some pressure on our elected officials.
She emphasized that the group does not seek a total ban on guns and has no quarrel with responsible gun owners.
Our issue is with lack of laws that would allow a mentally ill person, a felon, a drug dealer, a young child, a depressed teenager to have access to a gun and then wreak a lot of harm and damage.
The Raleigh-32 protest was held as a candlelight vigil beside the road.
In April of 1999, 2 boys walked into Columbine High School, and within minutes, 15 people, including the shooters, were dead. Now, 8 years later, we are mourning the deaths of 32 people shot and killed at Virginia Tech University. In the 8 years between the shootings at Columbine and at Virginia Tech, not a single gun control law was passed by our state legislature or by our Congress. Instead, our elected representatives have supported measure after measure that have made it increasingly easy for the wrong people to get high-powered guns. Every day, 32 people are murdered by guns in America. Every year, nearly 30,000 Americans are killed by guns in homicides, suicides, and unintentional shootings. In the 8 years between the shootings at Columbine and that at Virginia Tech, over 100,000 Americans have been killed by guns in our own streets. We are here to say that it is time for this to stop. There are a number of things that we can do to stop the level of gun violence. All it takes is the public will, and if we continue to speak out, then our leaders will follow.
Protest Easy Guns is calling for a few specific changes to gun laws to keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have them. First, reinstate the assault weapons ban and the federal ban on high-capacity magazines. The Virginia Tech shooter used high-capacity magazines that may have been purchased on eBay to allow him to shoot large numbers of people without having to reload. Second, close the loophole at gun shows so that all gun sellers will have to conduct background checks. Third, pass Congressional Bill H.R. 2640 to improve the National Instant Criminal Background Check System so that mental health and other records can be added to it. Fourth, remove restrictions in the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms budget that limit access to crime gun trace data.
Another thing that we can do is limit the number of sales of handguns to one handgun a month. Right now, somebody who's legal to buy a gun can go in and buy a large number of guns and then go home and sell them again to somebody who shouldn't have them. We're here to represent the 32 students and faculty members who were killed at Virginia Tech. This is a protest called Protest Easy Guns.
Because of the 100-degree heat, Rachel had each volunteer step forward and read the name of one of the victims, rather than lying down on the sidewalk.
Oh, sir. Brian Bloom.
Juan Ortiz. Daniel O'Neill. Cross Alamadine. Matthew Gregory Waltney.
Waleed Mohammed Shalon.
Rima Samaha. Rachel Elizabeth Hill. Aaron Peterson.
Professor LaVue Labrescu.
Jarrett Lane.
Christopher James Bishop.
Austin Floyd. Linnell Pachel. Lauren McKay. Brian Clark.
Henry J. Lee.
Leslie Sherman. Caitlin Hammerman.
Joycelyn Butcher Nowak.
Michael Calais.
Sung Hu Cho.
Emily Jane Pilsher. Mary Karen Reed. Matt Laporte.
Nicole White.
Professor G.B. Waganathan.
Martai Lumbatorova. Jeremy Herbstrand.
Daniel Perez Cueva. Dr. Kevin Granata. Maxine Turner. Julia Fry. Standing to represent the 32 Americans who are killed every day from gun violence.
I'm standing in memory of the 1,000 North Carolinians who were killed every year by guns.
In mid-August, eBay updated their firearms policy to place more restrictions around gun-related items. eBay now prohibits listing any firearm part that's required for the firing of a gun, including shells and magazines. When announcing this change, eBay Vice President Matt Halpern wrote, "After learning that some items purchased on eBay may have been used in the tragedy at Virginia Tech, we felt that revisiting our policies was not only necessary, but the right thing to do." We would like to applaud eBay's decision to do the right thing. Over 70% of Americans believe in tighter gun restrictions, but their voices are not being heard.
What we need to do is make it politically expedient for our elected officials to vote for gun control rather than against it.
Abby Spangler encourages all citizens who want to make their voices heard to hold a protest. As of now, there have been over 25 protests held across the country, with more planned in the coming weeks.
We are outraged about our lax gun laws in the United States. What are we going to do about it? We're going to fight back. What are we going to do about it? We're going to fight back. What are we going to do about it? We're going to fight back.